Okay, Oscar fans, we have a real derby on our hands now because this race is changing constantly as more and more films are being shown to more and more folks like us and others in the industry. And we have, for example, One Night in Miami just moved up to the number third position in the Best Picture race. It had been down at 8 or 9 before. And Nomadland is still at number 1. But Ma Rainey's Black Bottom has moved up, and Minari has finally, we knew that little kind of foreign film they love would do well, and that's been moving up. In terms of the new stuff that we're seeing, Anne, let's start with you. What seems to be gaining momentum in the race? What films seem to be rising?
Well, you're calling it. And I mean, Nomadland is steady as they go. And I think I said this last time. It's going to still have the advantage of being able to come out late and really hit during the proper award season. I should argue with everyone here. We're still early days. It feels like December. It feels like the holidays is when it should all be happening. When Academy members would ordinarily be greedily going through their screener piles. The screeners are eking in. The online links are starting. I'm aware that there's a lot of guild activity going on sort of under the radar. We're not getting the same buzz. I know that we all try to reach out and talk to people and see what they're saying. I'll tell you one movie that's falling in the rankings. You're right about Ma Rainey. That's very strong. One Night in Miami, very strong. I think News of the World is going to be very strong. It's early yet. Only a few people have seen it. I loved it. I thought it was extraordinary and perfect fodder for the Academy. I think Great. Tom Hanks, Paul Greengrass, all of it, all the way down the right. One thing to remember, I'm all over the place as usual. One thing to remember is that the Twitter universe is not the Academy. Those fanboys and online sites, Clayton, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. They have a particular sensibility, and the recent pile-on George Clooney and One Night in Miami is a case in point. That's a movie that's going to play very well for the Academy, as Hillbilly Elegy has played very well for the Academy, by the way. Good for the Academy. But the one that's falling is Mank. Not good, not playing well at all.
Wow.
David Fincher may not get a Best Director nomination.
That's interesting. I showed it for my screening series, and it played better than any movie I'd shown, except for a little movie called Wild Mountain Time.
That is great.
With Emily Blunt that went through the roof for these people, and it's very close to the Academy kind of demo. And that's a Bleecker Street movie that's coming out this week. Yeah, it's a very sweet movie. But not that you asked me, Tom. But Mank actually is, you know, if you're into all of that. I talked to an Academy voter actually the other day who just was raving about it, going, I wanted more. He literally said, I want more of this. I wanted more of the inside story and that sort of thing. But I think production-wise, Mank is going
Tech
to...
only.
Yeah, going to...
No, the actors could do well. The actors could do well.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is here, and Anne alluded to it, the Academy really is just beginning to see these things. They just finally had their first virtual screening of Nomadland that involved the Academy. I mean, they're not like on the circuit and going back to Toronto or whenever this opened and every little film festival and all. They're not focused on all of that. And so they're just beginning to see these movies, and we've been seeing them as they go along. I mean, some of them I saw months ago now. And, you know, but that's not the Academy mindset. And I agree with Anne. I think News of the World is a terrific piece of filmmaking, really good. And I would say, I don't know who's knocking George Clooney, but I think he did a great job with Midnight Sky.
And I think the tech on that is very good. And in a year when you have a weak array of big scale movies, I think he hit it out of the park. I thought it was beautifully made.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very challenging film. It's epic in its set pieces, outer space, and then on the Arctic when you look at that, but it's intimate and it's human. It's got a lot of elements that are very strong in it. And my review just ran actually this morning. And I think that one can really play. I think we'll see what mood the Academy's in. I'll be interested to see ultimately.
Clayton,
Yeah.
what is moving on up the list of Best Picture?
I think you hit everything on the moving on up thing. News of the World, I'm not as big on personally as everyone else. I think it's very straight. I think it's very straight down the middle, which could be fine for Academy taste, and I think that it may still do well in that space. I do believe that Mank is falling a bit. I don't think it's gonna be enough to push Fincher out of a 5 in the end. I think this could be another Irishman Part 2 in the end. I think I could see a day where it's like 0 for 10 on Oscar night, in that kind of world that's built. But I think it's too much up the Academy's alley to fall. I was actually talking with someone recently. David Fincher's Mank reminds me of Martin Scorsese's The Aviator, when everyone was like really raring to give Marty an Oscar, and then Clint Eastwood came and took it at the last minute. But then when The Departed opened 2 years later, everyone was kind of like sighed relief and like, thank God we didn't give it to him then. We can give it to him now for something he's really, really good at. And I think, that's going to play in here a bit about, being do or not. When it comes to Midnight Sky, I'm with all you guys on that. I think that's Clooney's best movie. Whether the Academy at large will go for it, I'm not sure. It could go the way of Blade Runner 2049. I didn't get like 4 or 5 texts. But I think Desplat's score is a big contender.
Both his score and James Newton Howard's News of the World are stunning score.
Yeah.
They really are.
I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nomadland is steady, ready to make its play.
But let's stick with Nomadland for a second.
Yeah.
It keeps sticking at number 1 and has stayed there throughout this Oscar season, and I don't believe it. I don't believe it's going to win. I like the movie very much, but nothing really happens. It's a great mood piece. It's a spiritual journey and the rest of it. But somebody should have reminded them that plot could have been a good idea in the movie. I just think it's a nice, wonderful piece of art. But what do you guys think?
It's likely to play with the critics groups, and
Definitely.
we have the LA film critics and New York film critics who think they're still in 2019 and the Oscar season is just like it was, so they're voting this month. Good luck to that. I think they'll be irrelevant by the time it gets around to the Oscar nomination.
There are not that many movies left to see, though, really.
Yeah, no, there's a few, but not that many. There are a couple that are popping
They're
in.
waiting for the Critics' Choice and the Golden Globes, and that'll be that. I mean, if you're talking about Judas and the Black Messiah or United States versus Holiday, and I'm not judging those films, but they may not have been the kind of critics films that needed the LA and New York.
Yeah, Malcolm and Marie is another one that's
I haven't seen them yet.
I haven't either, but I mean, I will, I'm sure. But these critics groups aren't going to see everything, but they're going to go for in one order or another, First Cow and Nomadland. It's almost certain. And
several 10 best lists have put First Cow at number 1.
Well, I saw
not an Academy picture. I'm saying it here and now.
Time Magazine put First Cow as number 1 and Bill and Ted Face the Music. They
love to do that.
So we're not talking Academy here.
But Tom, I'm sorry, Clayton. I was just going to say, Tom, I think Tom is reflecting a certain segment of the Academy that may react to Nomadland that way. But I believe that the new membership and the European membership will come through for Nomadland. Clayton.
I was going to say, I was like, we could. It's easy to say about Nomadland. You could say the same thing about Mank, quite frankly. You could say, there needs to be plot and nothing really happens. There's literally a sequence of Gary Oldman and Amanda Seyfried walking around for like 15 minutes saying names.
Best thing in the movie.
There's a lot. It's going to be different tastes all around. But I have to make a point. We're going to be in uncharted territories after we come back from the New Year holiday. Christmas and New Year's. For the first time, we're ready to coming back, and then people are voting. We're going to come back and sit for 2 months and kind of look around at each other and go, so
that's it.
You guys been watched,
we're in October right now.
Yeah,
that's right.
We're in October. Our Contenders event, which normally would have been done in New York, London, and LA, all finished at this point. doesn't even start until after the first of the year, and it will go all throughout the month of January in different ways. And so we're looking at a very different landscape that is very hard to predict ultimately how it's going to play.
And we all know like what they do when they're about to go on holiday on December 19th. They usually like grab that screener pile.
That's right.
And then they go home and then they plow through some stuff. So you're talking about now in January, there is no holiday for them to plow through things. They either will be watching more things than they ever have, or be completely out of the loop entirely.
I've heard a lot of things about the screener problem there. They're in love with this new digital platform. Yeah. This is the last year supposedly for physical screeners. I know a lot of Academy members that are sitting around just waiting for their screeners. They don't like the Apple of it all. They don't understand this thing. A lot of them are not. I mean, I've learned how to live with it but I got a big screen TV and I know how to plug it in. But with every movie I watch as a critic, there's some problem that I have to call the support group. There's always a different thing going on. If you can figure out Apple, that's the best way to watch these things.
Yeah.
Well, people say that it is. Apple's great. You can load up the apps, and you and I have figured this out.
Load up the apps,
But the Academy people have not. I talked to a PGA member who had 2 virtual screening invites to, I think they were to One Night in Miami and Nomadland. He couldn't get in. He couldn't figure it out. He didn't get any support. And I heard this from several people. The people who are lucky enough to be on the Academy portal are seeing the movies.
30 minutes to get in to see Nomadland because of all the code.
It's not easy. I mean, some of these things.
And first world problems. I'm also tired of seeing my name on the movie.
I know.
I know.
I really would like to stop.
Imprinted there.
Manohla Dargis wrote a whole article about seeing her name there. I'm kind of tired of seeing. But it's like some critics go off on the deep end, but don't get me started on this. But anyway, it's interesting to watch these movies with your name emblazoned across them. That's for sure.
Gotta remember how to spell it. And mine is spelled wrong sometimes. So
mine is always spelled.
I do think that there will be screeners, according to everybody I've spoken to. I've gotten a few recently, so
it's funny. I gotten the most screeners from Netflix, which is the one that doesn't.
That's so silly.
Netflix
it's such
is in
a waste.
The screener business, no question, right now. Yeah, and they're smart to do it. But what the great thing about screeners physically, you can hold them up, and it reminds you to watch the movie or of that movie. In the cyberspace here, you just don't remember, you move on. There's 101 movies at last count. I think there's a few more now on the Academy side.
I heard 100. Yeah.
Now, there's definitely more than that, but it's like most of them are the wretched and different weird stuff they don't know. It's a very different world that they're going to be viewing these movies through this year, and we'll see how that affects them.
Hopefully they'll discover movies that the wretched, IFC Films, who always they can't compete with Netflix and the way they campaign. Maybe a small movie like Farewell or More will get seen.
Which I love. That's one of my favorite movies, Clayton. It's on my 10 best list.
I adore that film, but if it wasn't for this year, that movie would have 0 chance, and now it has 5% chance. Just by being on the platform.
And an indie spirit.
Yeah.
Netflix has done something very clever too, at least for us journalist types, is that they've created a new row of preview movies on top, so that it's so simple to see a Mank or any of their movies, and just the minute you go into Netflix, there they are, just for you, and no one else can see them, and it puts it right front and center. Let's talk about one race that is really a race. Best Actress. It's flipping back and forth, at least among the experts, constantly between Frances MacDormand and Viola Davis. And that's not true of the predictions elsewhere in the website. Of course, most of the people at Gold Derby have not yet seen Ma Rainey, etc., or Nomadland, of course. But I could see either one of them winning. I think that's a fascinating race. It reminds us, of course, of the year fences with Viola. Should she go lead? Should she go supporting? Here, she could arguably go supporting as well. And we've got this Vanessa Kirby thing that's very real and on the rise, and people are talking about it. And there's great buzz for it, and it feels very contemporary. And she's a real threat, and so she's a rising threat in our charts as well. Who wants to tackle that race in terms of who could emerge there, including your buddy Sophia Loren, Pete, sentimental favorite?
Well, I was just saying, I just got off doing 2 interviews in a row with Sophia Loren this morning before I hit on here. And, she's, watch her talk about this and things. And Netflix has got her out there more than she ever has been. And, there's a definite shot for her here. And the movie has actually played really well.
It's good.
And it played well on Netflix. It opened around the world. And it was a big hit for them. And so I wouldn't discount her. I wouldn't discount Michelle Pfeiffer either when that gets some, views there. I really like her.
Oh, for French Exit, yeah.
If we're going to talk about the ones that are overdue, she's certainly one of them. Vanessa
I have
Kirby
a feeling that French Exit's going to fall away and not arrive.
The last movie that opens up in the eligibility window. It's like February 28th or something like that. It's like
a lot of movies have moved. The Father, they moved to February 26th. It was supposed to be. It was supposed to be this week. I just did a Zoom with Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman, and he didn't even know. He thought it was opening this week, but they are determined to put it in theaters, and they know that the theaters it needs to be in, it can't be in LA and New York. Yeah. So they are pushing it down the line as far as they can to be still eligible with The Father, but it is now February 26th, going late. There's a few in February, and Marie, Malcolm and Marie, the Netflix movie that they're dropping in. Zendaya's hot off the Emmy win. I haven't seen it yet.
Me neither.
But, I hear it's a great role. So we'll see about her. Vanessa Kirby's fantastic. I've said it a million times in Pieces of a Woman. If they can get through the first half hour watching this on their downloadable thing, I hope they can. There's a lot of actresses out there. You can go on and on.
And we haven't seen yet things like Andra Day in United States versus Billie Holiday, which Paramount is really excited about. I mean, I'm hearing pitches from them all the time.
I'm going to say that Viola Davis has the advantage in this situation because of Frances MacDormand's wins already. That's the only reason. I would give it to Frances in a heartbeat. But they just tend not to do that. It's just unusual. And to the extent that the mainstream academy may not respond to the naturalistic working opposite non-pros kind of aspect of this, I give her points. I give her hazard pay, for what she did. She's extraordinary, but and also a creative force on the movie. But I just think that Viola Davis, with the padding and the makeup and the audacious bravado that she brings to this.
She did a great 60 Minutes.
She's just incredible.
Sunday. She was on 60 Minutes and they did the whole thing. That is really a great showcase, 60 Minutes, to get somebody on and get heat. She definitely has it from that. So we'll see as she moves along. Frances MacDormand doesn't campaign. So,
another aspect, but it hasn't hurt her in the past.
No. And, but this year is such a weird year that you almost have to be out there as yourself, to bring attention.
Do you really though? I don't know if you really, especially this year, I think you can get away with skating, because I mean,
you got to bring attention to the movie.
Sure, but because the movie is such an all-around player, I think she can get away with it. If it was something like Pieces of a Woman, for instance, that seems to be a Kirby Burson thing, probably only, right? If Kirby decided she didn't want to campaign, that would hurt her. Frances stepped into that second Oscar, by the way, I want to say not by accident, but I think it took a lot of us by surprise that it just ended up being, and she just swept all through. But I'm with Anne, getting your third is a big deal, and it would be, and I'm not saying that it's impossible. I think it is, especially if the movie starts picking up more and, we're talking about sweeping stuff. But I think Kirby is the front runner right now.
The critics will go with her.
Yeah,
I think she's a discovery who gets nominated. I don't think
Yeah,
she
I don't think
wins.
she's a front runner.
Because the movie itself is so strange. What you're all skating around. I mean, some people think the first half hour is the best thing in the movie.
Yeah,
and then
but
it goes
getting through it for a
downhill.
lot of people is going to be
There's a
difficult.
great scene with Ellen Burstyn. There's problems with Shia
Yeah.
LaBeouf. It's a very arty European film. I liked it, but it's not mainstream Academy
Ellen
at
Burstyn,
all.
by the way, in our charts is on a straight rise up. Really, really.
Partly because of great interviews like she did with Clayton. She was awesome on that.
The oldest
piece.
acting nominee ever. By the way, Sophia Loren would be the oldest Best Actress nominee ever if she's nominated.
Yes, and you know,
I agree. She's very
six.
strong. I talked to her too, Pete. She's wonderful.
I just, you know, we just did her for the KCT thing today. She did her whole career. She's so charming.
Yeah.
And with Eduardo whispering in Italian to her.
He's charming too.
I mean, listen. I will admit though, she got a ding because Italy didn't submit the movie. Like, it's been in a documentary on over it, which is,
you know,
like,
Italy. It's a political situation if you're going to get into foreign language and how they submit these things. You know, Eduardo lives in, you know, LA. So he's not, you know, an Italian director living in Italy. She lives we just did her in Geneva. Yeah. So, you know, but, you know, that would have been nice, you know, and Pinocchio, the other one from Italy, I thought might have gotten in. Instead, they went for this documentary, but the guy is very Italian and very.
I love Naterno. It is one of my favorite movies of the year. It's on my 10 best
documentaries
list.
have their own category, in my opinion, but, you know.
And without saying too much, a spoiler and actress as well, I think Andrew Day could spoil the party.
Yes, and I think they're nervous about her over at Netflix. So.
I think they could. I think they should be. I think that there's a there.
Did they show it to you, Clayton? Yes. Yes.
With Viola Davis, though, I think the ding against her a little bit, and everybody wants to see her win a Best Actress Oscar. By the way, she'll be the most nominated Black woman ever with 4 nominations. By the way, if she's nominated, which is bananas.
Interesting stat.
Yeah. I think she lacks the screen time of a Best Actress winner. Like she's thin on time, and I get that a lot of it's going to be about Chadwick, and rightfully so. But to see both of them win actor and actress, last time we had that was Jack Nicholson and Helen Hunt in '97, and you know, I think I don't know if they would just go for both. I think Chadwick feels like the reward of the movie if they're going to give it something.
I love it that you're so stats oriented, but it is very important, I believe, to look at the individual category and the individual year, and to see because the way we argued out the actresses makes a certain amount of sense. Chadwick will win. We know that. Yes, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
And let's refresh people's memories. There was a debate as recently as 3-4 weeks ago of whether Chadwick Boseman should go lead or supporting for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. The courageous decision was made that he should go lead, and now he's way out front. Previously, Anthony Hopkins had been out front in our expert rankings, and I was much taken with The Father. I thought it was a much better movie than I anticipated it was going to be. I was very deeply moved by it, but he's playing Anthony Hopkins. And while Chadwick Boseman, you could say, is playing Chadwick, he ends up kind of literally stealing the movie, especially there at the end. And he's got the brashness and the attitude in it. And it just feels important as a piece of movie making, its Broadway history and the rest of it. So
Hopkins will also be the oldest actor nominee ever. We have all the oldest stats getting broken in each category.
Well, it's like the supporting actress race. Take out Amanda Seyfried, they're all over 70.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like it's a very older year. There's no question, which is good for older actors.
Which is funny because director is so young.
So.
Let's go through a couple of the more Best Actor contenders. Gary Oldman from Mank is now at number 4. He's dropped a little bit. Delroy Lindo from The Five Bloods is at number 3. Riz Ahmed has been rising with The Sun.
He's great.
Yeah, he is. And the guy who plays the father in Minari, Stephen Yan, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
It's Stephen Yun, and it's called Minotti, the
It's
movie.
like this. It's Minati.
Minari. Okay.
Minotti.
It almost sounds Italian.
It does.
Okay.
It does.
Good,
It's
good.
Minotti, and it's
And
Stephen
it's-
Yun, not Yun, but and not that matters. I love that movie. That's a
do
very
too.
sweet family
It
story.
really wins your heart over.
Yeah.
I think that's a sleeper Best Picture winner. I'm not even like joking. I think there's a day that's our winner at the end of this.
Could be.
It's
It's a-
going to
it's a
be in the
movie.
top 10 for sure. And I
Yeah.
also think that it's an American movie as opposed
Yes,
to
it
a
is.
foreign movie. There may be a lot of Korean in it, but it is a very American movie. And that's part of why it's going to be so powerful, I think, as an
I
immigrant
definitely
story.
think so.
Yeah.
And
At
it's
the
an
Globe, it'll
advantage.
be in foreign language, by the way.
It's an advantage actually to be the only movie that a distributor has, and A24 is throwing everything. They have First Cow, and they'll get some critics recognition for that, but this is their big movie, Minotti, and it's not like
And-
Netflix, which has 12 movies.
And they're
So
very high on the grandmother character getting an Oscar.
YJ.
great.
Yeah.
She's
Great.
great. Yeah. She can do what Zhao Sushen failed to do last year.
yeah,
which
that was
Exactly.
surprising.
Yes.
I thought
Very
she
sad
did
about that.
great.
So
This is less of a comedy than The Farewell was. And I think finally The Farewell was sort of dinged by that in the Academy universe. I thought it was robbed. I was predicting all kinds of nominations it didn't get. But I think Minotti will get there.
Yeah, and Alan S. Kim, that little boy is something too, and he would be the second youngest ever if nominated. I think he's really good. I think he's someone that could.
I don't know if he's going to get nominated, but the girl in News of the World is going
Helen
to.
Zengel.
Buy that.
She's phenomenal.
Don't buy.
So there are all
I
these
love
movies with older men and younger women.
Younger
Little
girls,
girls.
it's a trend.
There's News of
it's
the
a
World
USA Today
and
story. It's totally.
yeah,
Yeah. I don't buy the Helena Zengel.
Midnight Sky. Yeah, that's the other one.
We have Tom Hanks
Midnight Sky, yeah.
at number 8.
I don't buy that either.
He's got 2 movies actually.
Greyhound.
They're put.
I don't think Greyhound will
Greyhound.
factor.
Yeah.
Visual effects.
Maybe not even.
Maybe not. Yeah, I don't think Tom Hanks does. Like, listen, he's good because he's Tom Hanks, but I feel like he does that role in his sleep. Like,
That's
It-
why
it-
people always. That's why he went for such a long stretch without getting
Yeah.
nominated until he did something showy like Fred Rogers. I think
Yeah.
he's one of the great actors we have, and I think he's
Of
great
course,
in this
yeah.
movie. But if a lot of people feel the way you do, he might not get in.
he's also not.
You never know. I
campaigning.
mean, it's subtle. The same with George Clooney. He's very subtle in that performance. It's not flashy.
Right.
Can I
So-
ask you guys? Do you guys? I'm kind of maybe I'm on this boat alone. Do you guys think George Clooney might have fared better if he went supporting for Midnight?
I actually thought when I saw the movie that he would. It was sort of like Syriana.
Yeah.
And then they told me, no, he's lead. And, I mean, he drives the story, so you
Yeah.
can definitely argue him as a lead.
It's
But
close. I feel like if he was supporting,
either way.
No,
Yeah.
he's lead.
it's his movie.
Yeah.
It's his character.
No one else is lead.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's why I think it's an ensemble. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
It's not
And
going to
it's
be
just
a
one of those-
factor in the acting races.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
don't think.
Why is Amanda Seyfried so clearly out front for Mank? I don't understand.
Because supporting actress is a wasteland right now, and we don't know that we feel the Academy can't pronounce YJ's name, so they won't choose her, but they should.
They might. I think what happens with an actress, a young actress like Amanda Seyfried, is that people think they know who she is and what she can do, and when she hits it out of the park in such a big way and shows us things we've never seen before,
Right.
that's when you get nominated, and that's when you lead the field.
And I think this is true of her there. And, but there's wonderful people eligible in that category this year, and Ellen Burstyn's, all the older ones. I loved
Yes.
Candice Bergen, by the way, and Let Them All Talk. I thought that she just stole that, and she was
I think
great.
that will fade away into oblivion.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I thought
I enjoyed the movie.
really
It was
liked
fun, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's an Oscar movie.
Yeah.
It's too the production value. No one could have made that movie except Steven Soderbergh the way he did it. But at the
I
same
know.
time, it's not the kind of thing the
Phenomenal.
Academy responds to as an awards picture.
And Olivia Colman, I think, is still on the table. I know she just won also, but I think
Sure, she's in there.
She's in
Oh,
second
she is.
place.
Father's doing very well.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and let's
sure.
go back to your hillbilly elegy observation. Is that
But Glenn Close, of course.
Glenn
you know.
Close, who clearly was out front in this category early on before we'd seen the movie. The critics certainly dinged it, but you're saying the Academy liked it. Is she still in the race for a nomination anyway?
Yes, I think so. I do. I think she'll get nominated.
We have to remember that in February, March, where are these movies going to be? Netflix feels noisy now.
Yeah.
A lot of these movies are going to be rear view, small memories.
They may be. I don't know. It's hard to say how they're digesting these films.
If critics
I
are
do
that
think
harsh
Hellbilly-
on something, it's really tough to come back.
Yeah,
from that.
Hellbilly Elegy. Ron Howard told me he has never in his career felt the dichotomy, but the difference between critics and the people that he's talking to that have seen the movie. And I think that's true. I said, Ron, as you've got a green book here, you've got that problem. It's the critics for some reason just don't want to hear from this film. They're reviewing the book and what they think about the author of the book. That's what they're doing.
There's a lot of that politics, but at the same time, if you have a Metacritic review that's below the 70s, forget it.
That's what he was talking about. He said it's so weird because the people that are watching the movie, not just the public, but people in the industry, are giving a different reaction to it. And I do think critics are reviewing the book.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go back to what Ann said at the beginning of this episode, is that Twitter isn't the Academy, but Twitter also doesn't dictate like what's happening. People have using we're dinging JD Vance as a person, that's why we don't like the movie. No, if the movie's not good, it's not good. And I'm a big boy and I can differentiate the two things and look at a movie and say, this wasn't well done, it's a mess. And Glenn Close and Amy Adams are great actresses, so anything they do is going to be good because they're good actresses. But this is not Glenn Close's pinnacle career Oscar that she's going to win for, and the movie just doesn't do what it sets out to do. And
I don't know. I totally disagree with you on that.
Yeah.
I think it does set out. I hadn't read the book. I could care less about J.D. Vance, but I've sat here and watched that movie, and it moved me. I thought that story of that family was what he's trying to do, and that's what he did.
But will it move the Academy as a whole? I don't think it does.
I don't know. It may or it may not. Glenn Close has a kind of role in there that tend to get nominated by actors and SAG. Let's not discount SAG here. They go like, wow, there's that. And when she talks
wow,
about
good Terminator and bad Terminator. What a line.
If it's a weak field, then
of
she
course they
sneaks
found it.
in, but
they
with
actually
the
had to
actors
dial down that
branch.
character.
But
They
that's
said that
it.
character, that woman was at a 13. They had to dial her down for the movie or no one would buy it, but that is who she's playing.
So what do you think of Maria Bakalova? Do you think she
I love
She's
her.
in.
you
I
think
love
she's
her.
Really?
I love that
for
movie. I
Borat?
put it up for Best Picture. I think it's
Real?
great.
Oh my gosh!
God, I love it. Hey, go for it. It's a daring kind of risky thing to make a movie like that. And in fact, I'm doing a thing with him later today, but I think he's a genius.
But non-traditional comedies that really, really work are getting more serious attention on the awards front. My guilty pleasure of the year is The Prom.
Love it.
I saw it twice. I thought it was so great.
It's going to sweep the Golden Globes.
It will in that musical comedy category. Boy, I sure hope they give it to Meryl for lampooning her own profession so brilliantly in that.
She's great.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's going to come out this week. And I think it's going to be playing in every Academy member's house by their children. They're just going to
over and over on repeat.
It's going to capture something.
It actually.
I also think Nicole Kidman is like a standard Globe nominee. I don't know if that's going to translate down the line, but she's always been close when we think she's not supposed to be. Like Bombshell.
Oh, they love her. They love
I know.
her.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And her
She already
zazz.
has 3 Golden
really
Globes.
good.
You know, I mean, or 4 or whatever. Yeah.
It's a 4-quadrant movie. I think that's a good point, actually.
No, it's a
It
movie
plays
that
for
depending
every
on the mood,
generation.
yeah, depending on the mood voters are in, you know, in dark times, that movie delivers a different scenario for us here. So
Let's take a look at supporting actor, where Leslie Odom is way out front. He's got almost 80% of the predictions of our Oscar experts. Who wants to explain?
Guys, I think there's a handicap there because there is no standard front runner for supporting actor right now. He's the easiest thing that we could say he's in of the stuff, but it's a very fluid category. I think, wait for it, Daniel Kaluuya is going to spoil the party for Judas and the Black Messiah. I think
people are surprised that he's going supporting, and he could be a strong contender. I am, like you, trying to figure out which of the folks. I think Odom is ahead. I think he will take it.
Yeah.
I think the way that One Night in Miami will be rewarded for sure is him. But the and maybe Kent Powers.
Sasha
anyway,
Baron Cohen.
Leslie Odom's in it. He's in it, and
Sasha's Sasha Baron Cohen is a very strong contender in this category.
oh yeah, I think for sure. I think that cast of Trial of the Chicago 7's fantastic. Frank Langella is really great.
But there are too many of them, and they're going to knock
and
each
Mark
other out. I
Rylance
think
is
Jeremy
also-
Strong and Mark.
Yes.
I looked at your chart yesterday, Tom, and I was surprised that Rylance was so strong.
I know,
Because there's so many other like Yahya Mateen is great too. Abdul Mateen, he's wonderful.
Yeah, an actor from that movie needs to get in for the film to really have a shot at Best Picture. They need to find some type of consensus type of pick. I know Parasite won last year without an acting nomination, but it's not.
Sasha would be. Sasha's
I think
the strongest.
I think he'll get in.
Hold on.
This category, as we know, is often the Veteran Achievement Award. Is Bill Murray the veteran this year?
Yeah, he's great.
They love him.
There's a lot of veterans, though. I mean, Bill could be one of them.
But-
Stanley Tucci could be another.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, it's
Which
just
one?
So good. Stanley Tucci and Supernova.
Oh, I saw that movie. I forgot it the next day, but I did think the acting was good.
What a dismissal.
I did think he was good. I thought
Colin Firth.
Colin Firth was even better.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
You know, it's a very slight little movie though, and that's the the problem. It goes in.
And the other veteran, David Strathairn. I know he doesn't have a lot of screen time, but look, I would say he smells a little bit like Alan Arkin, Little Miss Sunshine, James Coburn, Affliction.
Right,
like,
exactly. I know.
He serves the movie beautifully. He's an extraordinary actor, and I love him. But I don't think he is showy enough, honestly.
I don't either. In that movie, I barely.
He serves the movie appropriately, though.
Well, yeah, I think of like Catherine Keener and Capote. Like that on paper shouldn't have happened, but it did. Like,
Well, you're right in the sense that they are, actors are voting for, like James Coburn, who was, a veteran and that sort of thing. And we sometimes see that. I don't know if Strathairn is quite that, but, James Coburn knew everybody in the business and everybody and had worked with everybody in the Academy. And then he's playing that kind of role. That's tailor-made. Strathairn's role is really secondary in this movie. So
he doesn't even get the girl.
No.
I was also thinking of Alan Alda in The Aviator too, as an example.
Yeah.
Like
we seldom allow this to happen at Gold Derby, where we will permit an actor to go both lead and supporting. Usually, we're very tough and we say make a declaration one way or the other. And in the year of Viola Davis with Fences, we broke that rule and we said, all right, we'll let her go both. And then she would rank at 4th or 5th for lead actress and consistently at number 1 in supporting. And I think that was one of the factors that led them to believe that. But this is just here's a curiosity factor. We allowed Chadwick Boseman to be in both categories too. And in Best Supporting Actor, he's ranked number 9, while he has such a clear advantage in the Best Actor.
For the Five Bloods or for Ma Rainey?
For number 1, of course, for Best Lead for Ma Rainey, but Five Bloods for
When I
supporting.
was looking at the supporting actor category and trying to figure it out, because I agree with Clayton that it's extremely fluid and hard to call right now.
I do too. I just think it's interesting that there's the people with an option are putting him there. Now last big category.
He could get in there.
We have a lot of women this year. Finally, a lot of foreigners, a lot of fresh air. What do we think?
It's young.
Chloe Zhao.
Chloe Zhao. Yep. Chloe Zhao. It's her time. It's her moment. She'll be the first since she'll be, Alfonso Cuarón did it, and Warren Beatty did it twice. 4 nominations, I think, in one day is coming her way.
What else?
Producing, directing, writing, and editing.
Oh, editing. Oh.
Yeah, she edited the movie too during COVID.
Yeah, they all edited during COVID, but
Yeah,
And she's got another Marvel movie coming, The Eternals, which could mean that she doesn't campaign as much. But judging so far, she's out there. She's doing stuff.
We had her on our podcast.
I think Regina King has a real chance to win this. We're seeing her steadily rising. There's so much goodwill for her. Go back to the Emmys over the past 10 years. 3 of the 4 Emmys that she won were upsets.
That's true.
We're just out with,
Nobody saw 7 Seconds and she won anyway.
Yes, exactly. She was in the movie for 7 seconds even.
But that's the Oscars, and the directing category is a different bag in terms of.
She's definitely in though, don't you think, Pete?
I would never say definitely, not with that branch.
Yeah.
And she won.
She's like Greta Gerwig. She's a movie star, so she gets extra.
Yeah, I mean that could be, but directors are their own bag. What about Paul Greengrass? I think
he's at number 5.
I don't think so.
For News of the World, we've got David Fincher still in 2nd place for Mank. Aaron Sorkin, number 4 for Chicago 7.
Aaron Sorkin smells like Martin McDonagh, Peter Farrelly to me.
Oh, I think he gets in.
Like he could make it in, but I think he could also be that big miss on the morning. Real quick, Pete, I agree with your point with the director's branch being very different, like to get in for Regina King. Regina King would be the first person to win an Oscar for acting and get nominated for directing after. No one has ever been able to do
after.
That.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Laurence Olivier didn't do it. Like, it never happened.
Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
He didn't win for acting.
That is true.
Interesting little stat.
Interesting.
A lot of the big stars who are directors are not always rewarded for their acting.
Spike Lee is at number 6.
Spike is going to be close. I want to ask you guys, this is for all of us, Emerald Fennell. Can we talk about that for a second? Promising Young Woman.
Yeah.
Do we believe that, or do we believe that's just internet?
I like that movie, but I saw that in a theater before they all shut down in March. That was the last one. Then I saw Tenet in Orange County. But I'm gonna have to watch that movie again.
I honestly really just don't know.
I think it's a discovery of a major talent and a small independent film with a great performance. We haven't been talking about Carrie Mulligan.
No,
I think she's in.
That's right.
I wouldn't go that far. It depends. I gotta watch this again. I just got the screener, but
I'm gonna say that this plays better younger than older, and that's not good at the Academy.
I could see that. I think that's. Yeah,
that could be. It's a good movie. I liked it.
She's in that one nomination hell where she can't get her second nomination despite it being such a long time ago, and she had some.
Carrie Mulligan is a very strong actress. In the right role, she'll get nominated again. I'm not sure this is the right role.
Every movie that she's had where they've talked about like Suffragette, those kind of things, they weren't quite the vehicle that was going to get her in that particular year. And this is another year like that, where I'm not sure Promising Young Woman is the vehicle that's going to get her in that incredibly crowded category this year.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think with the Academy expanding and internationally with 10,000 members, that the 200 reliable people that go out to every food event / screening are not going to make a difference. The word of mouth out of that helps, but it can't push an organization that's all over the world now, and say that because they're shaking hands here in Los Angeles or New York, that's going to, change anything.
So
Frances MacDormand, Clayton mentioned, Frances MacDormand didn't have to campaign for 3 billboards. and she makes a point of not campaigning, and she had the performance, and didn't matter if she was out there really doing that. It matters for movies and other people that want to get into the race, and that's the only way you can do it. And then you build that by affecting all these different little award shows that come before, and the critics things, and all of it can build, and it's a part of it, but it's not going to make a huge difference if we have that. What we don't have is the feel of a normal Oscars here, where people
So we have to reach out and talk to more people, and that's what I'm
it's
trying
harder
to do. We
get
just have to
pulse,
ask them,
because I'm not there with them every day.
Yeah. And I would say, but there is curiosity there. I mean, I've gotten some calls, or I've spoken to some Academy members and people that have reached out that will ask me, like, is there something I should be watching? I think you were about to say it before when Pete started talking, like, the media, I think, is to be probably the most important we've ever been now.
And those critics groups.
Yeah, I think they're going to look for the guidance. And I think what Film Twitter has always declared, that they can shape the kind of thing. I think for the first time, the media can actually steer some people in the right direction. I'm wondering if we're going to have another Ethan Hawke situation where someone leads the critics groups and then just misses out in the end, or if there's going to be someone that steamrolls. Are we going to know? Because I think of Willem Dafoe and Laurie Metcalf, the year of 3 Billboards, they led the critics groups, and when we got to the televised shows, it switched, and it was Sam Rockwell and Allison Janney the whole way.
All right, I know Pete would agree with me here. The thing about what we're talking about is how do the critics and media mediate and curate and recommend? That's one thing. That's incredibly important to get people to watch it in the first place. The second thing is that the Academy taste is not the same as the critics, and that's the defining difference.
It's completely different. It's Roma versus Green Book. It's
right.
This, it still exists in the Academy. It's ever changing, we think, with the international group coming in. But ever since they started that, I keep saying, do you know all these international filmmakers, and put Chloe Zhao among them? They're just dying to do American movies. They're dying to do these big movies. That's what they watch. And, they may be leading the charge in voting now, too, for movies you wouldn't expect. They may not be voting for the movies they're forced to make. They want to make other things. And you don't know. You don't know where.
It's going to be Minari versus Hillbilly Elegy in the end. So let's just prep ourselves.
Well, I don't
think Hillbilly Elegy is playing with the foreign branch.
I don't think that's going to happen. I do think the critics can, just pile on and make something, not happen, most likely by the end. And, they'll have some influence, but LA and New York are, going so early. I agree with Ann. I mean, by the time you get to
but they're also not the only ones. I mean, the scripters they're holding the calendar year also.
Who are they?
The scripters, USC scripters,
the adapted screenplay.
There are some people there are some groups that are going to say in the calendar year, and they're going to feel irrelevant when other stuff comes on. But remember, 5 more months to go. That
brings up a very important issue, and I'm sure we're all feeling it a little bit in this gathering. Who the hell cares anymore? I mean, really.
And after all, the thing's only golden plated. It's not like it's a solid piece of gold. Come on.
We're still getting it up at this point, but where are we going to be in January and February? Oh,
well,
God.
It's going to be it's a problem. And boy, you look at these movies, this list of movies in general, and it's kind of depressing that it's not a normal year. No, that's for sure.
I'm curious to see what Soderbergh and Stacey Sher and Jesse Collins do with the Oscars. I think this is a case where I'm guessing, I think it's fair to say that Soderbergh would ordinarily not be that interested in producing the Oscars. But in this special year, in this special situation with the pandemic and with his role at the DGA as the sort of leader coming up with protocols, I think it's wonderful that someone as innovative and creative as Soderbergh is going to be running the show.
It's going to be about the movies and the movie business and theaters. And they are going to launch the return of movie going as they see it.
That's what they should do. That's what their role is.
That is what that show will be about.
Yeah,
and if it's not, they're missing the boat.
I think we're going to get a really interesting host out of the Soderbergh Stacey group. I think we're going to get someone.
Quentin Tarantino. Cheryl will bring her guy in.
They need a host. A host. You've got to have a host in this.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I think we're getting. You're going to have to, and I think it's going to be someone so left field that we're going to go. Okay, let's watch this.
Keegan-Michael Key. I want him.
I would be so on board for that. Yeah.
They're going to need somebody that's going to bring in an audience, because they can't bring in the audience with these movies. So
that's true. Who would it be?
I mean,
Tom Hanks.
They might. I mean, listen, I think a lot of people are going to tune in to see Chadwick. I mean, not see him there, but see him win an Oscar.
Well, I do agree with that. I mean, he has Black Panther
cred,
if you like, and that sort of thing, and that was a well-rated Oscar show, sort of.
We can have our most diverse Oscar lineup ever, head to toe. Like this could
That's
be
true.
Yeah, absolutely could be.
Spike Lee could host. I'd watch that.
I would watch that.
Yeah.
I have 2 Spike Lees on my 10 best list because American Utopia was my other favorite.
Oh, did you liked American Utopia?
Oh, I watched it twice. I danced around my living room. I highly recommend Escape Fair, American Utopia.
Yeah, that's winding up on all these 10 best lists, and these critics are. I'm going like, it's a film stage play. I mean, it's good. I liked it, but it cinematically as a movie,
it's very cinematic. Spike did a great job.
So was Hamilton. Pete, why are you so like?
I'm just going like
he's looking at it like a wasted slot in the Oscar race. This has nothing to do with the Oscars.
Yeah, right.
And Hamilton's good. Where do you fall on Small Axe, Pete? I'm curious.
On
like, are they films?
Well, they say they're doing an Emmy campaign.
Yeah, but for you
and some of them are 60 minutes, so I don't think they're feature films. One of them is, or a couple of them. So they are what they say they are. They say they're a television series. So
I put Lovers Rock on my 10 best. It's one of the best things I've ever seen.
Yeah, there's some people that are like on different sides of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Originally, I thought when it was going to Cannes that this was a movie thing, and but that's not what Amazon's saying. But Amazon is unique among other things. They'll take a movie out of Sundance like Sylvie's Love, and they will make it for television. And they have another one like that too. That they decide, no, this is a TV. Uncle Frank, which they took out of Sundance, and this is for the Emmys. And they do that a lot over there. So they define things, and
they're doing very well with Sound of Metal, I have to say.
I thought Sound of Metal was really good, and I resisted seeing it, first of all, because I've always had ear infection since I was a kid, and to watch a guy going deaf is painful. But it was so interesting to me to see that, and then to see him learn how to do the drums and so effectively. That's a great performance. And
that's why Riz is climbing. Riz, I think, is future LAFCA Best Actor winner. Like, I feel like
that could happen. You're not wrong about that
he's
at all.
Do really, really well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Especially that final scene, where he seems to accept it all finally.
Yeah. Oh, I love that scene. I love that scene in the RV that he destroys. One shot, one take. That scene.
That was great. Plus, it's a sound nomination just waiting to happen.
I guarantee.
Well, now with it combined, I wonder. Like, that's going to be new for us too. Like, how do they?
That's true.
Pair with this combined race.
Well, they're just adding the sound editors to the thing. So I think that movie, if that doesn't get nominated for that, there's no hope. But
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap up here. Thank you so much for the update. It's getting to be a real race now, and we will soon have more and more front runners.
A real race that Anne says nobody cares about.
Well, I disagree, Anne. I'm sorry.
There's evidence.
Well, there's evidence, yes.
There
are
definitely some people
nobody has seen these movies yet, except
you know what? I'm being a little bit arch, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, in the overall context of things, we shouldn't take it all too seriously.
Right.
And that should be an ongoing rule. Don't take this too serious.
That is true.
Yeah. From Ann Thompson, the Wise.
but let's give it to the Oscars because they have stuck to it. The show will go on, and good for them. Thank you, my friends. We'll talk soon.